Okay, I've never made a TikTok before, but I recently published my first book, and the book is called Light and Darkness, and it is a novel about two young girls that end up discovering some things about their hometown that they didn't know before. And the scene I'm going to read to you today is for all the girls who've ever been in church when a man was preaching a sexist sermon and wanted to say something but didn't. This one's for you guys. They were in the back, near the door, with Kylie on the inside row of chairs next to them. Gabby sat there, looking at her surroundings in the youth worship center, taking it all in. There was a stage in the middle of the room, flanked by a drum set and a keyboard. No cross in sight. There was a giant cardboard boulder serving as a backdrop, though, and there was Wayne. Wayne, who made her dad bristle. Wayne with his close-cut hair, his too white smile, and that starched button-down. Wayne, who told her friends that she prayed to statues. Wayne, who thought she needed to get baptized again. The kids who told her this were not her friends. Wayne, who made Jake's best buddy quake in her shoes at the thought of facing him. Wayne, who made Kylie shake because she thought he'd tell her parents she had crushes on other girls. Today he was preaching about David and Bathsheba, and he was on David's side. Bathsheba had taken a bath, and the king seen her, so he killed her husband so he could have her. It was her fault for being too pretty, too beautiful. Gabby, who found the story disturbing before she heard Wayne's take on it, felt her blood start to boil. Bathsheba, taking a bath, had tempted King David with her beauty. "You must always guard your beauty, girls," he chided. "You shouldn't cause men to stumble." She gulped, swallowing air. Her eyes grew hard, and her ability to maintain a neutral expression was leaving her. "And children," he oozed, "remember to keep yourselves on the right path." The world, he spat out the word dramatically. Gabby, who was starting to form an idea of what she was going to do if he crossed the line, gulped again, swallowing more air. She was going to put her Jenkins jeans to work. "We'll tell you that you should accept yourself no matter what you do, but God has higher standards." He narrowed his eyes on Kylie, ignoring the firestorm growing on Gabby's face. "God wants you to be in a biblical family. One wife, one husband. Nothing else will make you happy. Nothing else will make you fulfilled." Gabby felt Kylie's nails sink into her arm. She looked at the girl. Her face was ashen. Wayne went on, casting a smile that sent shivers up Gabby's spine in Kylie's direction. It was not a friendly smile. It was a threat. "Anything else," he emphasized with firm intonation, "is an abomination." "If we have any young people here tonight," the words slid out of his mouth, "who might think they want an other than biblical life, they should come see me in my office after church. After all, I can help set you on the path back to God and happiness." Kylie's nails sank so deep into Gabby's arm that they drew blood. The words gave Gabby a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach. The idea of being alone with Wayne in his office made her want to throw up. Kylie's face was ashen at this point. Gabby gulped one last huge swallow of air and stepped out in the middle of the aisle so there was absolutely no doubt it was intentional and let loose. An absolutely deafening belch came forth from her throat. She kept it going for a solid minute until it petered off into a dull roar. Every kid in the room, formerly silent with pinched faces from the obvious tension, erupted in raucous laughter. She turned to the room and curtsied, dipping herself low, almost to the floor. More raucous laughter. She waited for it to die down. Wayne's face was hot with anger now, but it was obviously her move. "Pastor," she said, putting on her best good girl making a speech voice. "Pastor Wayne, I'm so terribly sorry about that. I had too much Dr. Pepper with my dinner." Giggles from the kids. "Didn't God punish David for killing Uriah?" She put on her best dear sweet child face while he nodded, glaring daggers at her. "So if Bathsheba didn't invite him to look at her during her bath, and God punished David and sent the prophet to David," she emphasized the name dramatically, "then how is it Bathsheba's fault that David sinned?" Wayne stuttered. Gabby continued, "I'll let you get back to me on that. I have another question." She paused dramatically. "Yes," he said curtly. "What's your name, girl?" Still standing up, straight backed in the aisle, she looked him dead in the eye in her fury. "Gabriella Lorraine Jenkins, sir." Realization passed over his face like a light going on. "Which biblical marriage are you talking about? The kind with 4 wives, or the kind where you kill your daughter if she's made love to someone before the wedding night?" She was being careful not to be crude, but the subject was crude. "Or is it the kind where you buy your wife from your father-in-law for 7 years of farm labor, only to get tricked into marrying her sister, so you do another 7 years of work? Is that it?" He nearly hissed. "The kind where you don't marry someone of the same sex." Gabby blinked, smiling innocently, and asked, "When did Jesus talk about that?" His eyes narrowed. She thought they almost looked black. Almost. "Leviticus," he started. "No," she said firmly this time, all the friendliness leaving her voice. "I asked when Jesus said anything about it. Leviticus is not included in the Gospels." He stared at her, furious. "He talked about marriage between men and women a lot," Gabby continued, "but I don't recall him ever mentioning same-sex relationships. Do you?" More daggers. "Gabriella," he seethed, "this is inappropriate." "I'm not the one talking to 11-year-olds, she looked around. 10-year-olds? A few kids raised their hands. About sex they're not old enough to have. That's inappropriate. I think you're inappropriate." She looked at him coolly, took Kylie's hand, and led her out of the room. Shannon flanked Kylie on the other side. Wayne stood there stunned as they walked out of the room, holding hands in a line. He didn't follow her. He was too dumbfounded. The children started talking, quietly at first. The girls walked down the halls, through the front doors, and out of the church. Wayne snapped out of his trance and practically flew into his office. The children kept talking, giggling nervously, then talking loudly in his absence. There were no other adults in the room that night. There never were when Pastor Wayne was leading the kids' church. He liked to have them to himself. Okay, that's all I've got. And like I said, I've never done a TikTok before. But once again, this is for all the girls who've ever been in a room where there was a preacher at the pulpit saying terrible things and you wanted to say something and you didn't.